Thank you. Wow. This is awesome. I'm so delighted to be back at Faith and Freedom. I don't know if you know, this visit is part of my legal immigrant tour. And boy, what a political season we're in. I just see that Kamala Harris says that she's running for president to fight for what wakes me up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I think at my age, what wakes me up at 3 a.m. in the morning is the irresistible desire to go to the bathroom. And it's really impressive that we have politicians in this country that are actually fighting for that right. Wow, only in America. I want to talk in the brief time I have about the craziness that we're seeing from the other side and the peculiar dilemma that puts us in. The Republican Party, the conservatives, the Christian community, we're the party of the nice guys. We yearn for the Reagan era in which American politics was a kindler, gentler sport. We want to find common ground when we can. We try to stand for not only principles, but also cordiality, civility, treating other people with dignity. But we live in a moment when that Reagan era is gone. American politics on the other side has become gangsterized. And the other side is doing things to us in the full knowledge that we will not do it to them. And this puts us in a bizarre situation. Stormy Daniels. I want to analyze this for just a moment because the reason that the left was so jubilant about Stormy Daniels was not because Stormy Daniels is a pervert. Their side is far more perverted than that. Stormy Daniels fits right in with all that perversion. They don't have a moment of problems with it. But they know we do. So the strategy on the left is that the Republican Party is the party of the straight-laced people. What we have to do is fish out a Stormy Daniels and shove it in their faces, and then they will kill their own guy. That's their strategy. That's how they work. We don't think that way. Recently, there was a little bit of a disappointment on the Supreme Court. Justice Roberts, I think has the illusions of being the new Justice Kennedy, perhaps. I'm not sure. But the broader issue we face is something like this. In the last 25 years, we have had the majority of Supreme Court nominees. And we still don't firmly control the court. Now, why is that? How is it possible to have the vast majority of nominees and the court is still precariously hanging in the balance? Until recently, it was, wow, how's Justice Anthony Kennedy feeling? Wow, we got Kennedy. Whoops, we lost Roberts. Now, the reason for this is because if you come to a conservative conference and you say, what are you looking for in a Supreme Court justice? Our people say things like this. We're looking for someone who has a deep love of the law. We're looking for someone who has a reverence for the Constitution. We're looking for someone who has a depth of judicial experience, somebody who is not only going to respect the language of the Constitution, but excavate the original intentions of the framers who made those laws. That's what we're looking for. Now, when the left nominates somebody to the court, what are they looking for? They are looking for somebody to vote with them with Euclidean certainty 100% of the time. They want somebody whose vote they can count on without thinking. The only when it comes to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the only question they want to ask is she still alive? They know how she's going to vote. They just want to know if she's still conscious. So what happens is, you can see what I'm getting at here is that there is a sort of a disproportion of ruthlessness that we are bringing to this debate. We have this whole squid-like cloud of criteria. They've got only one criterion that they enforce with firm determination. The other thing about our fight, I think, that is very significant is that this is not a fight between the left and the right. This is not a straight fight between the Republicans and the Democrats. Why? Because they've got three allies on their side that make all the difference. They've got academia, they've got the media, and they have Hollywood. Hollywood meaning the whole entertainment industry. I'm including Broadway, and I'm the music industry, and pretty much all the comedians. So they control the megaphones of our culture. And they're able to relentlessly drum information out there that we have trouble competing with. So they're able to put out not just fake news, but I would say fake narratives, fake meta stories, fake accounts of what America means and the American story, fake accounts about the founders and about whether the two parties switch sides. I mean, this was the beauty of Biden recently, is he basically unwittingly let the cat out of the bag that all the big segregationists were in the Democratic Party. And the left has been working really hard to teach young people that's not the case. And Biden goes, well, of course it's the case. These were my buddies. They were models of civility. It was great. But we don't often get a gift like that. And when we get it, it only comes from a guy who's really still not sure if Britain is being headed by Theresa May or Margaret Thatcher. So you've got a guy who's slightly out of it, which can inure to our benefit. So they've got the culture, and that's a lot to have. They've got the culture. What have we got? Well, we've got Trump. Yeah. I'm a product of the Reagan years, and I sometimes think about Trump and Reagan and how Reagan was a man of sort of priorities. Reagan believed you can't change the world in 10 ways. You can change it in maybe 2 ways. So let's focus on the Soviet Empire. Let's focus on tax cuts. But Reagan did not believe in worrying about the smaller things, sort of like let some of the other stuff go. What I think is really remarkable about Trump is this dude fights on every front. Man. He's doing the trade pact, and he's doing tax cuts, and he's saving the court, and he's nicking away at Obamacare. And the beauty of it is, while he's doing all this stuff, he still finds time to swat Meryl Streep, boom. Take on Saturday Night Live, boom. Failing news CNN, boom. So this is a guy who has one foot in the political fight and one foot in the culture war. And I think he recognizes that the political battle is only one corner of this larger cultural landscape. The striking thing, I think, about Trump is his fearlessness. Fearlessness. People say, our country's so divided and Trump's to blame. No. Trump didn't cause the division. It caused him. He's the result of it. We have been nominating one Boy Scout after another for 2 decades. George H.W. Bush and Mitt Romney and John McCain. And there's no doubting the kind of rectitude or clean-cutness of these guys. I mean, look at Romney, squeaky clean character. I mean, if I were writing a recommendation for Romney, it would probably begin, not since Jesus Christ. A really squeaky clean fellow. But as we all know, when Romney stepped into the arena, the left went, there's a guy that we know how to beat into a pulp. There's a guy that we know how to drive under the table. And that's the one thing you can't do with Trump. You really can't even mud wrestle with him because he's the world's best mud wrestler. And wrestling with Trump is a bit like wrestling with a pig. I mean, not only does it get everyone dirty, but the pig likes it. Now, I think it's interesting. A lot of my old buddies from the think tank world, some of them now in the never Trump mode, they're like, well, you know, Dinesh, you have to admit that Trump has a lot of human flaws. And I say, well, I do admit it. However, it is important to notice that even some of his notable flaws from a human point of view, are also political strengths. So consider the case, for example, of Trump's notorious egotism. It is, in fact, Himalayan. He makes Obama look modest. But think about it. When you are the president today, when you are being flayed and eviscerated and lambasted on every medium, every second of every day, when they literally stop a Broadway show or interrupt the Emmys to blast you, you know what? In that situation, in my opinion, Trump's ego is his own personal wall. It insulates him. It enables him to move relentlessly forward. And the same is true with another notable Trump flaw. Notice that Trump has this quality that if you attack him, it doesn't really matter how irrelevant, unimportant, or picayune you are. If you attack him, he's going to attack you back. He has to do it. He's emotionally not capable of not doing it. Now, admittedly, from a human point of view, this is not what we attempt to teach our kids. We try to teach them restraint, pick your battles, and so on. But again, from the point of view of a Christian community, from the point of view of young people on campus who are having their heads beaten in, from the point of view of a party that's nominated one Boy Scout after another and has discovered time after time that our own leaders turn out to be invertebrates. From the point of view of that party, it's really nice every now and then to have a leader who actually will give it back to them, who understands the importance of that. So our side needs to toughen up. And we need to toughen up not because we are immoderate people, but because we are in an immoderate situation. Abraham Lincoln was, you may say, funny to say now, but he was picked out of the rhino wing of the Republican Party. A moderate man. But he too discovered that when he came to Washington, he was in an immoderate situation. In fact, right after the Civil War, in the early years when the Union armies began to deploy black soldiers, the Confederates adopted a policy of any black soldier captured by the Confederacy would be shot. Now, this was not the case with white soldiers, but it was such an affront that the Confederates decided to do this. And when this came to the attention of Lincoln, he issued an executive order. Not very well known, but in my opinion, the most severe order to come out of the northern side of the war. For every black Union soldier executed by the Confederacy, one Confederate captive will be shot. So why would a moderate man do such a barbaric thing? And the answer is that Lincoln realized that you have to do to them what they are doing to you if you ever want them to stop. You have to do it. And in fact, the Confederates did stop and the order was withdrawn. So, where this leaves us, and I want to close with this, is we've got to recognize what's at stake. What's at stake is not just the other side is they want Medicare for all, they have free giveaways, they want socialism. They actually want to establish a nation of conformity. They want to turn us into worms. And by that I mean, you think they'd be happy they've got the media, they've got academia, they've got Hollywood. No, they want the NFL. They want a bunch of guys running with a ball. They want the Boy Scouts, and they pretty much got him. They want the Christian Baker in Colorado. And even if he goes to the Supreme Court and he wins, sue him again. Why? Not because of him. Because we have to terrify everybody else who's thinking about being like him and standing up for their principles. So this is why we've got to realize that we need to hold them accountable. There are all these people who say, oh, the Mueller report, phew, what a relief, let's move on. No, let's not move on. Let's hold those people accountable, then we move on. This American dream hangs in the balance. And it's not just a dream, as you all know, of economic prosperity. It is a dream of the good life in both its senses. The prosperous life, yes, but it's also the dream of a decent society and a good society that holds to its moral principles and recognizes that the line between good and evil runs through every human heart. We are the custodians of that dream, and we need to fight for it as though it mattered, because it does. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.